Welcome back to Card Corner. Today we are doing a double unboxing of the new Blur Checkerboards by Anyone Worldwide and the Focus deck by Never Never. All right, first of all, new camera. Got a new phone. I don't know if you've noticed, a bit better quality in the video, hopefully. And secondly, this review is gonna technically be an open box review. I did a normal review as usual, but with getting this new phone and this new camera, I also wanted to up my audio as well. So I invested in one of those little clip-on microphones that you can attach to your phone. And I did a little test, test 1, 2, 1, 2, everything's fine with my normal speaking voice, but your boy is loud and bombastic because he's an entertainer. And so when I actually recorded my review and my unboxing, the audio actually clipped super hard. And the quality of the audio clipping was so bad that it was actually like unsalvageable, which is unfortunate. I ended up getting one of those microphones for like TikTokers, basically. TikTokers aren't talking to you like I'm talking to you. They're like, hello, welcome back to my cooking video. It's not meant for your boy's voice. So basically I had to redo the video. I'm not just gonna scrap this whole video because of an audio difficulty. So I hope you understand and I hope you enjoy it anyways. All right, take two. Very unfortunate that I need to just redo this whole thing. It's not like a true blind reaction. Boy, stuff happens, the show must go on. I'm excited about these decks and I'm excited to show you guys these decks. So without further ado, we have the Focus deck by Never Never, and we have the Blur Checkerboards by Anyone Worldwide. Both decks announced around the same time. Lots of Spider-Man pointing memes going around. Now, I'm pinning these two decks together as kind of a versus episode. We're comparing them, but we're not comparing them. We're still giving them their individual scores and reviews, but let's just get into the cards. We're gonna start off with the Blur Checkerboard playing cards. Now, right away, you might notice that this box is bigger. Here's a little comparison just for size. And that's because they've ditched the traditional tuck box for this deck, and they've gone for a more kind of iPhone box approach. Now, they're doing this specifically for their linear collection, which the Blur Checkerboards are a part of. And I get trying to switch up the game, do different things, make different types of tuck boxes, but I cannot state enough how absolutely horrendous of a tuck box this is that I hate. Oh my gosh, I hate this tuck box so much. It's probably the worst thing I've ever seen. And you'll see why in a second. Right on the front of the tuck box, we get the blurred checkerboard design featuring one clear, non-blurred checker. Up here it says a set of cards, just in case you're confused. Anyone 2024 Copenhagen, Denmark. For idle hands, unusual entertainment, 1,000 copies produced, card arts - culture, linear collection, number 2 of 6, airflow finish. The first edition in their linear collection was the gradient dots. And just like with the gradient dots, they have the same design on the back of the tuck here. It's kind of almost paint chart of colors right here, this gradient flow from light to dark. And oh boy, I can't wait to open this deck of cards. Wow, that was smooth and easy and looked nice. Wow, I can't wait to get all of these cards. Oh, okay. Now I have all of the cards. Before we continue with this review, please make sure to like this video. It really helps out my channel. And of course, if you'd like to see more card-related content, you can subscribe and you can even hit the bell button to get notified when new videos drop. Back to the review. Another small detail right in the inside of the tuck box right here, we get the numbers 1 through 6. Boom, here is the back design. Just like the front of the box, it features all these blurred checkerboards with one clear checker right there. And then here are the cards. It's quite the subtle blurring. You don't necessarily pick up on it right away. You kind of have to squint. It's much more apparent in the court cards. We get an ace of spades here. It's just one big solid spade with a copyright 2024 right there. No Anyone logo. It doesn't say anyone anywhere. And here's the rest of the deck. With this blur effect, they're sticking to, standard court cards and everything. And that's it. That's the whole deck of cards. This deck came without any extra ad cards or jokers, which honestly was quite disappointing to me. I would have at least liked to see some sort of jokers in this deck. When I first plopped it out of that horrific tuck box, I thought, wow, this deck is quite small and quite thin. Oh, no, it's not. I mean, it is, but also it's missing 4 cards. It's very interesting. Without the tuck box and just this deck in your hands, it doesn't say anyone anywhere on this deck of cards. So if you're unfamiliar with the checkerboard playing cards by anyone, you wouldn't know it was made by anyone. I kind of have the same gripe with the back design here as I do with the face cards, except more so. It's really hard to tell that this is a blurred deck of cards by just looking at the back design, especially in motion. Like, do not tell me that you can actually tell that this is a blurred deck of cards when I just start moving it. I will say it's a little bit better in person. Video really doesn't do it justice. It's a lot more apparent to the eye. You could argue that that was, their kind of preference and their approach. They wanted a more subtle blur effect for this deck of cards. Maybe their goal was for you to be like, oh, it's a normal deck of cards, and then you pause and squint for a moment and go, whoa, it's blurred. I feel like that's okay for the face cards, but I really think it would have been cooler to have maybe a heavier blur effect on the back design to make it more apparent that it is in fact a blurred design. All right, let's get into the focus deck. On the front of the tuck box, it features a hand holding the deck. I'm guessing the hand is Nikita, who is a pretty prominent cardist if you don't know. They are part of the company Never Never. It's a pretty interesting tuck box. I've never seen a tuck box like it where it's just a picture of someone holding the deck that's inside. It's pretty middle of the road for me. I don't have any particular problems with it. It's just like an interesting choice. On the side here, it says focus. On the side here, it says never, never. And on the back, it features this deep blue color that bleeds into a black. If you look closer, you kind of see these rectangles of color go all the way in. This is Never Never's second deck of cards. Their first deck of cards were the bite playing cards, and their bite playing cards featured this same design on the back of the tucks, but in red. So I think that's a cool way to kind of continue on with that theme for your decks and the company. And on the bottom here, we just get some manufacturing information. These were made by WJPC, and it says second edition. Now that can mean one of two things. This deck was the first edition that was made available online to the public, but I do know that they sold some at CardistryCon this year, so they could be considering the batch they made for CardistryCon as the first run, or they could be counting, let's say, their prototype decks that they made for promotional material as their first run. Either way, second run is just technically the second time they've printed this deck, but it's not any different from the first run. It's the same deck of cards. On the flap here, it says something. The back design just features this blue backdrop with the words focus right in the middle. Not only are the words really blurred, but I like how thin the actual text is. It's like they barely even put an F there. It's really this ghost of a text. And here are what the fans look like. Really, really pretty fans. I love that this deep blue kind of just fades into this nice white border. There's no clean cutoff, so there's a lot of bleed through in the fans. They really remind me of the gradient fontaines that had the same effect. And one of my favorite features from that deck were the fans. Very, very nice fans. This deck comes with some extra cards, one of them being this kind of double backer, but one side is just completely blue with no text. We then get a Focus Never Never logo card. We get a card here that says use no more than 5 minutes per day. And the best card in this deck, in my opinion, is the Focus Back normal Jack of Diamonds, which is a really fun extra card to throw in there for some cool kind of magic trick moments. I think that's a really fun card to throw in this deck. And without further ado, here are the playing cards. This deck is way more blurred than the checkerboards. You can't even like read the numbers. If the pips weren't there, you might have trouble knowing what the cards were. Like, look at that, dude. That is crazy. Just insanely heavy blurring. This deck might actually give you a headache if you stare at it too long. That use no more than 5 minutes per day card is a joke, but it's not. Just for comparison, this is the 4 of Hearts from the Blur Checkerboards, and this is the 4 of Hearts from the Focus deck. This makes this card look like a normal card. Again, you could say that it's preference, you know, anyone went for a more subtle approach. These guys went heavy with the blur effect, but I gotta say, I have a preference for the heavy effect. Right, those were the Focus deck and the Blur Checkerboards. Let's just get right into the review. All right, here is my final review and score of the Blur Checkerboards and the Focus deck. Let's start with the Blur Checkerboards. Back design, I'm gonna give this back design a 7.5. Like I said in my review, I just wish it was a little more apparent that this is a blurred deck. You can tell a little bit more when it comes to the faces, but with the back design, you really can't tell that this deck is what it is. I'm also kind of experiencing basically checkerboard and dot fatigue from anyone worldwide. Feels like all the decks that are releasing lately are checkerboard or dot variations, which is fine, you know, it's part of their bread and butter brand, just not the most unique for me. But overall, once you do squint and look at it, it's pretty cool. 7.5. Feeling and handling. Dude, these feel really good. Now, did anyone tell us where they manufactured these cards? No. No, they did not tell us where these cards were made, and to me, that is stinky, stinky poo-poo. Ew, what's that smell? I don't like that. I don't like that. I like it when companies are transparent with where they're printing their cards. But, you know, that's not how you make money, because some people have card printing preferences and they might not buy your deck if you tell them where it's printed. I still think that's stinky, stinky poo-poo. But goddamn, this deck feels really good. This is possibly the best deck, feeling-wise, that I've opened. No, I mean, this year, in 2025 just started, but all of last year as well. I'm gonna give the feeling and handling a 9.8. This is about as close as you can get as to like a god tier USPC deck. At a 0.8 still, because it does like, you know, it does clump just a little bit. But overall, oh, this deck feels amazing, dude. Super thin, super springy, super smooth, super slick, super slippery. Very good, kid. Overall theme and aesthetic. I'll give the theme and aesthetic an 8. They achieve their theme, things are blurred, and overall the aesthetic is there. It's a checkerboard back design. Again, I feel like they could have blurred it just a little bit more. And also, bro, throw in some jokers, throw in some ad cards, throw in something. We got a tight 52 cards in this deck, no extra ad cards, no jokers, no fun things like that. So I think 8 is appropriate. And now it's time for a new segment called Non-Consequential Smell Test. Now, do these playing cards smell like sun butter? Absolutely. If you don't know what sun butter is, you've clearly never worked in the school system. Sun butter is the peanut butter alternative for people with peanut allergies. It's basically peanut butter, but it's made out of sunflower seeds. And oh my God, it's so good. Like, I know you don't want to switch it, but try it, dude. A sun butter and jelly sandwich goes dumb, dude. So, dude, these smell like sun butter. It's like intense. Dude, I felt like the guy from Ratatouille when he eats the ratatouille and it's just whoom, and shoots him back into his childhood memories. The smell wafted to my nose and I went, sun butter. It's incredible. Now, do these also smell like Yu-Gi-Oh cards? Yes. That's a 10 out of 10 smell right there. I'm giving it 10. But that gives the Blur Checkerboards a total deck score of 8.4. Moving on to the Focus deck. Back design, I'm gonna give this back design an 8.8. There's not a whole lot going on, it just says Focus, but The focus is very blurred, and I do really like that gradient effect that we get in the back design and in the fans. So a solid 8.8 feels right. Feeling and handling. Now, these were made by WJPC because Never Never is transparent with their printing process. Yay, yay, yay. Good job. Now, WJ is not necessarily my favorite printing company, but when it comes to WJ decks, this one's pretty good. It's not the thinnest WJ deck. It's not like a missing base 4 kind of feel. It's closer to the Space Dunes. It's like a good medium stock. And I will say overall, when it comes to the fans and clumping, this deck is holding up longer and better than a lot of other WJ decks that I've handled. So I will give the feeling and handling also an 8.8. Overall theme and aesthetic, I'm gonna give this a 10. These cards are heavily blurred. You get what the deck is right away as soon as you see it. And it comes with great extra ad cards and jokers. Definitely a 10. Non-consequential smell test. It kind of just smells like a normal WJ deck, which is kind of closer to like a pleather. Like a pleather smell. I'll give it a 7. Nothing special. Overall, that gives the Focus deck a total deck score of 9.2. Thank you so much for watching. If you love playing cards and playing card content, make sure you subscribe. If you have a friend who loves playing cards, send them my channel. Let me know what you think of the Focus deck and the Blur Checkerboards down below. Do you like both of them? Do you hate both of them? Do you think one's cooler than the other? If you had to choose, which one would you choose? I will see you on the next one.